Hello and welcome to The Joy of Building with your host Abby, or as I sometimes go by, Stinkbug, and we are in the busy animal pen that is getting a little bit too big for its britches, so to say. We're going to deal with that this episode, make a large barn and maybe a grazing area for all of the tameable animals in this area, so sheep, chickens, pigs and cows, as well as expand our reach in this little area, make a large grazing field, I think all the way to the hill over there. And I also wanted to show you some things I have done in between episodes. First of which is right in here. I've done just a ridge of smooth stone and furnaces. I think it looks really, really nice. And before it just kind of felt like the glass was floating there, but now it's actually supported by something, which is very wonderful. I've also changed the coloring on this silo just a bit here. I've added some jungle wood, which adds some shading, definitely, so the white terracotta doesn't stand out quite as starkly, and though the jungle wood is quite brown, it has a pinkish hue to it that goes well with the white terracotta as well. In the last episode we did this farming expansion. We're going to add to this a little bit. I want a bridge, like I talked about last episode, to get to the silo, and I'd like to expand a little bit crop-wise. We have some carrots here, and I'd like to expand and make a bigger carrot field as well. And then in our home, I've done a few things. I have changed this into a polished andesite and andesite floor, which kind of segments the kitchen off very nicely. And upstairs, we are going to be putting in some brown carpet, which will break up this floor a little bit better. Otherwise, it's relatively the same, and I am very happy with how this area is turning out, especially if we go into like a cheeky little free cam up here. It really feels like the area that we have been living in is really expanded on and also ingrained with the area, and I'd like to do that for this whole section right here. Well, this is going to be our biggest project yet, but I'm really excited about it. Since that last clip, I've done a little bit of laying out for our build today. This is going to be the general perimeter, and it's going to be a lot of logs, mostly. We're going to do a very similar palisade trick to which we have done back here in getting all of these farm animals into a proper place, and then we will be adding some barns for each of them. So one for cows, one for sheep, and this is dangerous. One for cows, one for sheep, one for pigs, and then a chicken hut or something of the chicken coop for the chickens, probably somewhere around the center. And I think I want them free grazing around here, but potentially segmented into their own areas, just so it's a little bit easier to tell each of them apart from one another. For the gate, we're gonna put 2 fences or walls, and then jungle gates here, which gives it the raised look. I'm not really sure why this happens, but it's a very useful technique. For the palisade, we're gonna have a pattern like so, with alternating heights with the stripped jungle planks, and for the top spikes, which are supposed to get a little bit smaller, we will do fences and stairs, and the stairs have to be placed outwards from where you're looking, so they give that a spiked look. If they're placed like this, it'll look spiked from one end, but not the other. From this angle, which is when you're inside the pen, it'll look completely flat, and that's not really what you want to be looking for. So always have it kind of on the edge and alternate it with the fences to give the illusion that these are different sizes. And then some parts I'm going to leave unstripped, partly as if you have whittled in your life, sometimes it is hard to get the base of a area stripped, so you're gonna have little bits which have darker spots and the bark still on there, and otherwise it gives a little bit of shading and variation, which breaks up the monotony of the stripped logs, which is gonna be a factor. There's gonna be a little bit of monotonous kind of patterning in here, and that's due with the wall. That is always your expected outcome. It is a wall for all intensive purposes. You can also add granite walls, which go very well with this color palette. If you look over at the palisade we did in our first episode on our starter base, we've done that with andesite walls because we don't have the privilege of being able to use fences as well. But with a color palette like jungle wood, you're able to combine even more different colors, which is really wonderful. Jungle wood is definitely one of the most complementary woods in the game right now. The nice thing about using walls and fences is that they can be placed right next to each other and they don't connect. Now, usually this is not a nice thing. I don't really love that fences do this. However, for a palisade, you can kind of take advantage of that fact. I'm also not going to be using the jungle wood, the 4x4 variant, which has wood on all sides, or the bark on all sides, mostly because it is expensive. It gets rid of a lot of the wood that you harvest, and we're using a ton of it for this perimeter, but also because I think the top will look good with these. For instance, this wall right here kind of gives a circular look around the wall, which lines up really well. We're all done with the front facade, and I'm really liking how it is coming together so far. Now we have a lot to go. It's probably a little bit more than a third done right now, but it definitely is coming together. Also discovering new things for myself. If you put a fence over a wall, it gives a even more spiked look. So for some of the taller spikes, we might want to do that. The perimeter is now finally all done. It took me about an hour to build altogether, but it is looking really, really lovely and is starting to realize some of my ideas for this area. And now we have two large gaps, one right here and then one all the way all over here if we look through FreeCam. And those are going to be for barns for the animals. I think this one's going to be a cow barn, and then that one is going to be a sheep barn all the way up there. And then I think we're going to build kind of a centralized pig pen around here and a chicken coop over by the start over here. Also wanted to do a little bit of terraforming this episode, and I think a good way to start is to use this beach here. I've cut the beach itself back a few blocks. It was just about to the edge, really high, and I want a beach that kind of goes into the shore in a relaxed manner rather than in this steep way that it was before. And then I'm gonna just put smooth stone slabs and birch slabs, which will serve as a transition to the rest of the sand here and smooth out the beach even more. And then to smooth the transition a little bit better, I'm going to put some of the birch slabs on the top and bottom rows, so it's not just on this half slab step, but blends in all the way, and I think that looks great. The birch smooths, the birch slabs themselves give a little bit of a waterlogged sand look, which is really good. I think the sand is definitely a little too bright in where it would be more waterlogged. Like, this should be definitely like a more brown sand itself, and then these should be the less brown, less waterlogged versions, drier versions. But we don't have that in Minecraft, so we'll do our best to do some of the shading ourselves and to give the illusion of that waterlogged nature. Spent just a little bit of time making a little carrot farm here with a few rocks like we did last episodes. I'm not going to focus too much on the rocks because we've done a lot in the last couple episodes, and I'm going to fill this with carrots, but I think there is another important trick slash detail that we'll just fill in right here, and it's just putting some jungle log on these palisade, or under these palisades right here, where the tilled dirt shows the dirt under it, so it just looks more like these have been stuck into the ground like they would with a normal palisade, as most fences extend into the ground a decent amount to solidify their foundation, and that will just make this look a lot more finished and realistic. And then, just like last episode, we're also going to add another little harvester module, which will be going back and forth in between these little carrots, not in a full revolution like the other ones, since this is just a half circle. But I think that looks swell. I enjoy this little bridge we made, and it looks good. Especially from a functional perspective, it really helps getting to that silo when we don't have to run through all of that water and such. The animals are going to need somewhere to drink from, so we're going to set up a stream in this area, I think, and it's going to start over here where it goes into, or ends up, and then I'm going to take out a decent amount of space to each one of these areas that I've set up. And I haven't set up a chicken pen quite yet, or where I think one will be, but this is where the cows will end up, and this is where I'm gonna set up a pig area, and then this is where I'll set up a sheep area. So we'll set up some water to each one of these, or I guess flowing from each one of these. And my method for the streams is doing some short areas with just either stairs to do kind of a half bit with water, or with some of these smaller areas which will be more flowing streams, and or I guess larger areas compared to this, but still small compared to like a pond that we have starting over here. And these will be places where it's just a little bit more eroded and the water can flow just a little bit better. I've made a little bit of a foundation here by starting with polished diorite and then blending it into some of the more noisy but less refined diorite here. I'm going to leave room for a door, a large door, to be added to this, and I'm going to add just a few more to the levels. And my idea for this is that I'd like to blend a little bit more of the birch and white wool as we go higher, because I think the birch is a pretty good white block that has a lot of like white in it, that has some of these black patches in it, but mostly it is white, and it kind of breaks up the noisiness from the diorite into a little bit more of a separated block there. So it can go well in kind of the center or on the high parts of a build. Now, I've tried to do this roof shaping a lot and redone it a few times. I started with this stairs here on the 4th block up, and then slabs underneath it. From there, we're going to go up to go a stair, 1, 2, stair, and then put a stair under here, and just go up a little bit. And that looks good for a really large barn shape. I am going to do the risky thing of walking over here and then starting the roof from here. I wouldn't totally recommend doing this. I would usually recommend pillaring up to that and doing an upside roof, but we're gonna do, or up and upside down, like go from the top down. However, I'd like to start this side of the roof a little bit differently. We'll do 1, 2, I think actually we'll do a half slab right here, and then we'll do up like that, and then we're going to do a half slab, and then up the same way we did before, so it's just a little bit more incremental than the other side. And that got me a little bit too close to it too early, so I think we're gonna actually ramp it up even slower than I thought. Something like that, and then just kind of like half slabs all the way up. And now that we've finished that, it looks a lot like this side has kind of a longer extension on it than this side, which is what I was hoping for. So I think that is looking quite good. I think we just need to move the doorway itself by 1 block, which is good. That's basically what I was expecting. With the other side done, that looks pretty good. This little extension on the back is not attached to this roof. We're gonna do a little separate roof for it, I think, once we're done with this roof. Otherwise, I can do it right now. For this, we will do our other simple roof that we have done before, which is just half slabs on the bottom, then half slabs on the top, and then we'll do some acacia wood or some proper wood right here. We will not be doing acacia wood and such on this roof, however, and that I have some other plans for. For the rest of this that isn't covered by the roof, we're gonna do a layer of stripped oak and oak planks. I like the stripped oak on the sides. I think it ties the two sides together a little bit better than they were before. So we'll do that around the other edges. And then I think a doorway like this with the stripped wood on either side, one angled to be open, will work out just fine. I think we just need to add some things to this little detail here, and then we need to finish the roof proper. And then for the inside of the roof, we're gonna do bamboo for the highlights and birch planks for the center, or the main block. I think I'm going to put some stripped jungle wood in here on the bottom, so it looks like it has been dragged through the mud a little bit. And with the roof over here finished, it is looking good. I showed my partner this barn, and they gave me some feedback that I really agreed with. I think this door does blend in with the rest of the area very well, and that's not totally something that I think we want for this build, so I am going to put some acacia in here, some stripped acacia, which will match the window a little bit better, and also I think let the door stand out a little bit better, which definitely that does. And then I think we're going to put some acacia trapdoors on these edges, though that might not be possible since this edge we really cannot do. So maybe let's just do it on the corners. And then on this side, it just looks like so. This is going to be a basic storage silo for some of the pig pen stuff, so I think stripped oak is going to be a good block for that, and this is where the entrance will be. I think this will serve a purpose of like a small silo, so it won't be too high up or tall like the one that we built in the last episode. And though we're not going to do the same roofs as we have been with all of our other buildings, we are going to do the start of this roof similarly with the polished granite and granite slabs. And then we're going to do a line of hay bales on the inside. And then be finished off by a row of hay bales on top, and we'll do the same direction for all of them, so it looks like the hay bales are actually tied together, and I think that will look really cute. It's going to be just a little hut that we can use to store some of the food for pigs and such, as well as they can stay in here as well. We'll take out some of the floor so we can replace it with either hay bales and wood. Now I want to build an extension on this, so let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this is where we will go up from all the way to where we have built the rest of this. There's some polished diorite, which I don't have one for this, so I'm gonna temporarily put some polished granite. And then from this, we're gonna go out like this, and we'll do that twice on each side. That will serve as the start of this extension, which we're going to put some bamboo slabs down underneath. And we'll do this all the way to the edge. And then I think attaching this to here will just raise the slabs just a little bit to smooth the transition. And then we'll put some oak slabs on the logs just to make them a little bit higher and potentially from a distance make this transition look a little bit more smooth. And I have messed up just a little bit of this, but when working on diagonals, that's gonna happen. You are gonna have to just measure a few extra times every once in a while because it is hard. It is hard. There we go, and I like the look of that. So for the pigs, this will be a overhang roof that they can hide under during the rain. Yeah, I like that. And now this final building over here is going to be a similar story to our first building that we built earlier in the episode, but on a diagonal, which is scary, but we've done a lot of diagonals in this series already. So this is going to be the biggest one, but we've had a lot of practice. Or my therapist would tell me, and we've had a lot of practice. So let's do this real quick. Let's just get a base going with diorite, birch, and polished diorite like we were doing beforehand. For this roof, I'm just gonna start freestyling it. Let's put a ridge of this granite to kind of set in the rest of it, which then we're gonna put some of the thatched roof that we've been working with inside of. And I think we're probably gonna do 2 layers to this building. So we'll do a first inner roof, or outer roof, I guess, and then we're gonna do a raised inner roof. I was paused for a little bit, however, we've done a decent amount of the roof and we are making a 1.5 block gap before continuing the roof, which will give a little bit of an air pocket in there and will give some fresh air for the animals, as well as give the roof a little bit more definition. And we're using hay bales, which I don't have quite enough of, but especially on the corners, it'll look like the thatch is being pulled together by those hay bales a little bit more. I really enjoy how that looks, especially as like you come up to it, you can see the bottom, and then when you're in here you can barely see outside, but definitely get the fresh air. We gotta remove some temporary blocks, and then we can move on to our final building for today. And I think we just have to do the littlest bit of detailing to this later, and we're gonna do interiors in the next episode, plus some more landscaping on this area, detailing details. For the chicken coop, I do want a little raised area, so let's bring it out to here, and I think it'll be on the edge of the wall, which will be fine compared to our other builds. Our other builds have been either attached to the wall or near the wall so far. I'm gonna set up a little ledge on this and then keep going with oak logs, which will probably attach with bamboo here. And then I think we need to have a floor here for the chicken coop. I want it raised up, but not too high. And then we'll put bamboo stairs here, and then go one more layer out. Bring oak wood up here. And then bamboo planks on this side. Birch slabs. Bamboo slabs like on the other side. And then I think we're gonna do the same thing over here. Null the corners. And then on this edge, I think we're going to have some of the reverse bamboo stairs going like up to there. So it has a little bit of a lip, and then we'll put some bamboo slabs there. And now we gotta keep in mind that trapdoors will mess with their pathfinding. I think trapdoors would look amazing with chicken coops because they are relatively small, and it is good to, like, trapdoors are probably the thinnest building block that we have at our disposal, but they do mess with the chicken's pathfinding a little bit. So if we ever want them to be in here, it's a good idea to not use them in a way that disrupts with them. Like, this might disrupt with them a little bit, but I will hopefully take that sacrifice. And then I think for the roof we'll do a line of granite slabs, but I think we'll do it one higher. So let's go up with oak logs, one more. Put a line of put some bamboo here. And then granite slabs on the edge. Stairs to round out that shape that we got going on there. And then we'll continue the roof with some jungle wood. Some oak wood will give this a little bit more of a weathered and rustic look. And I think that looks good for a little chicken coop. We'll keep the doors open, and because this is palisaded in, we're not too worried about other wildlife, predators and such. And then I'm just going to give them a little fence around this area to keep them a little bit more safe. We're also going to do the same over the water, so none of them are going to be accidentally endangering themselves by swimming out of the premises right towards our friendly neighborhood pirates. And now we are far from done in this area, but this is all the building that I can do today. We have been doing at least 3 hours of building for this whole project. We need to move some animals in here still. However, we're ready for the move-in, and that is the most important spot. All the animals that have been cooped up in this little pen here that we can see with free cam have been moved into their much nicer abode, and even without the buildings being furnished, this is definitely a step up. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you've made it this far into the video, please hit the like button, and if you want to see more, consider subscribing. I have been Abby, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye!